always enjoyed spending time in the kitchen. I especially enjoy baking. It's just one of those activities in my life that just makes me feel good. It brings me joy, but I also enjoy just reflecting as I'm baking and reminiscing about fond memories of all the years spent in the kitchen baking with my children or baking as a young girl. It's just something I really enjoy. I love how it just brings back all those warm, cozy feels. Hello, my darling friends. Welcome back to my channel. It is so good to have you all here. I am really looking forward to spending some time together today. We are going to be hanging out in the kitchen. I'm going to share with y'all some of my favorite fall recipes. So we'll do some baking and then we're going to whip up some really fun fall drinks. So without further ado, let's get to baking. We are going to start off our baking projects today with some really delicious artisan bread. You just can't have a baking day without throwing some bread in the oven. And oh, I love the smells. There is nothing better than the smell of fresh baked bread.
For this recipe, we will be using 6½ cups of bread flour, 4 teaspoons of salt, 2 tablespoons active dry yeast, and 3 cups of warm water. So to get started, we're going to start with our dry ingredients. So to the flour here, I am mixing in the salt and the active dry yeast, and then I will come in and add some herbs. This step is absolutely optional. I am just adding in some thyme, some basil, some oregano, and a little bit of rosemary, some garlic salt, and some onion powder. Or not garlic salt, garlic powder and onion powder. And then I will go ahead and blend all of these ingredients until everything is really well incorporated. I have now transferred all of the dry ingredients to my stand mixer bowl, and I'm going to just slowly start incorporating the water. I think it's really important with this step to slowly incorporate the water because you don't want your bread dough to be too wet, but at the same time, you also don't want it to be too dry, because if it gets too dry, then it kind of makes your bread, it's tough and it doesn't have that light, airy texture to it. So I do just slowly mix in my water just to make sure that I'm getting that texture exactly right. And then I will let it mix in my stand mixer until the dough comes together, forms a nice ball, and begins to pull away from the sides of the bowl. Then I will add it to my mat here with just a little bit of flour and give this a little kneading. Now, I cannot have gluten. I have celiac disease, and so this particular recipe is a gluten-free recipe. So that's why it looks a little bit different if you're wondering, but I will have both of the recipes in the description box for y'all. I will have the gluten-free version and the regular wheat version. So, but because this is gluten-free, it doesn't require a lot of kneading. So I'm just going to knead it a tiny little bit, shape it into a ball, and then I will place it in a well-oiled bowl. A well-oiled bowl. That's a little bit of a mouthful there. Anyway, so I'm going to place it in my bowl, cover it, let it rest, and have some time to rise for about 2 hours. While our dough is rising, I'm going to go ahead and prepare our baking pan. And to do this, I'm just taking a regular baking sheet. I've lined it with some parchment paper, and then I'm going to just put a thin layer of cornmeal down, and this is going to help our bread as it bakes. It's going to give our bread that nice crusty texture. All right, y'all, so I think our dough has risen really nicely. It doubled up in size, and oh, look how gorgeous soft this dough is. I'm so excited about this. So I'm going to go ahead and remove it from the bowl, and then I'm going to cut it into 3 sections. And I do weigh my sections because I try to get each loaf approximately the same size. This recipe does make 3 loaves of artisan bread. So I'll go ahead and just cut this into sections, weigh it really quickly, and then we will put it back on our baking sheet for its second bulk rise. At this point, you can go ahead and shape your dough into really any shape that you so choose. I'm just going to shape mine into some round sections here. I just kind of like the round bread a little bit better. And then I did not get this on film. I'm not sure what happened, but after this rises the second time, which takes about another hour, you can see here it's resting and rising again. I do score this to kind of give it a little more shape and definition so that when it bakes, I've got a really fun shape. I don't know what happened to my coverage on that. I thought I was filming, but perhaps I actually wasn't. All right, y'all, so now it has just come out of the oven, and oh, I wish you could smell this. There is nothing like the smell of fresh baked bread. So one of my loaves I'm going to go ahead and freeze, but these 2 I'm going to save for eating. So I'm going to go ahead and coat them with some melted butter and then sprinkle a little bit of sesame seeds over the top of this one and some chives over the second loaf. I think we should give this a little taste test. Oh, I'm so excited. My taste buds are watering. Oh my goodness, look how gorgeous this turned out. It is so nice and light and fluffy and tastes amazing as well.
This next recipe is Michael's absolute favorite. So I try to make these for him a couple of times a year because they are his favorite, and I love making things for him that just bring him so much joy. So we're going to be whipping up some really delicious shortbread, jammy Dodger type cookies for this recipe.
For this recipe, we are going to need 2 sticks of softened butter, 2/3 cup sugar, 2 large eggs, a teaspoon of vanilla, and 2 1/4 cups flour, and of course, our raspberry jam. So to get started with this recipe, I'm first going to cream the butter and the sugar. So I'm adding our softened butter to my stand mixer. And then I will add in our sugar and mix this really well until the butter and the sugar have fully incorporated with one another and it is light and fluffy. After getting the sugar and butter creamed really well, we can go ahead and start adding in the eggs. I do just add these one at a time just to make sure that everything gets really well mixed and incorporated. After I add the eggs, I will go ahead and add in some vanilla, and I am using vanilla bean paste here. I just think it has a much richer vanilla taste. So I will go ahead and add the vanilla and give that another quick mixing. Now we can move on to the dry ingredients. So I've blended all of our dry ingredients together and added in most of our spices. Right here, I'm just adding in a little bit of fresh nutmeg just to enhance this a tiny bit. I really love the flavor of nutmeg, and I think it just adds a little extra something to our cookie dough. So now that my flour mixture is well blended, I can go ahead and start incorporating that into our wet ingredients. And I will just add all the flour, blend it really well. And you do want this dough to be kind of soft, so be sure you don't add too much flour to this. Now that we've done that part, I'm going to go ahead and just roll this into a ball, wrap it into some saran wrap, and pop it in the refrigerator to chill for about 2 to 3 hours. Our cookie dough has chilled for several hours now, and I've just taken it from the refrigerator so that we can start forming our cookies. And to make these jammy dodgers today, I am actually going to be using these really neat wooden not coffee. I must need a cup of coffee. Really cool wooden cookie presses. These are a lot of fun, and I will have the ones that I have here linked in the description box for y'all if you are interested. So to get started here, I am going to just cut off a small section of dough and place the remaining dough back in the refrigerator because we really don't want this dough to get too warm. It softens it up too much, and then our cookies won't hold their shape when they bake. It's really best to keep these nice and cold. The colder the dough is, the better they will bake up and hold their shape. So I just flour my cookie press really well, and I'm actually using powdered sugar to flour this because it just adds a little extra sweetness to our cookies. Cornstarch will work, but it does leave a little weird moisture on the top of your cookies when they bake. So I really recommend using the powdered sugar rather than cornstarch or flour. Okay, so I press this in, get it really well molded in there, scrape off any excess, and then to release this from the mold, we just turn it over and give it a couple of really good taps on the back, and that vibration will just start to release the cookie from the mold, just like that. Aren't these fun? I really like these cute little pumpkins, and the detail in them is amazing. All right, so I just wanted to use my pumpkin mold, but let's move on to the real purpose here. We're going to repeat that same exact process with all these other fun molds, and then I will release them from the mold and add some raspberry jam to the center of each one of these cookies. I think my favorite part of this whole process is releasing the dough from the mold. If you have any bent up frustrations, this is a good way to get those out. And if you are having troubles with your dough releasing from the mold, it's probably because you don't have quite enough powdered sugar in there. Okay, so after I do release this, I come in with my pastry brush and do just lightly brush off some of that excess powdered sugar before I fill the center with our jam. And it really does not take very much jam, I think I'm using about a teaspoon or less here, maybe even closer to, yeah, that's probably about a teaspoon, I would say. So, okay guys, I'm going to go ahead and just keep making these cookies until I have enough to fill my entire cookie sheet. And I have 4 different molds that I'm using today just to get a variety of shapes. Now we are ready to pop our cookies into the oven. I'm so excited. Don't these just look so pretty? This is a lot of fun. So I'm going to put these in an oven at 350 degrees and I bake them for about 12 minutes or until they're golden brown. Everybody's ovens are different, so just bake them, roughly between 10 and 12 minutes. And oh guys, these are so pretty. I love how these turned out. For our apple crisp today, we are going to need 4 or 5 apples, any variety of your choice, a half a cup of sugar, a tablespoon flour, some cinnamon, some lemon juice, brown sugar, quick oats, and butter, caramel, and evaporated milk. So I've got all of our ingredients pulled together, and to get started here, we are first going to start by slicing all of our apples. So this is personal preference, y'all, but I do leave the peel on my apples. I don't mind it. It bakes up really nice and soft with this recipe. So personal choice, you can either peel your apples first before slicing or leave the peel on, whatever you decide to do. And I am going to go ahead and slice my apples relatively thin here. And then after I get them sliced, I do come back in and cut off the core section of the apple. Just if there's any core on the edges, I will come in and cut that off. We are going to add a little acidity to this recipe, and for that I am using the juice of a fresh lemon. I just like fresh lemons so much better than bottled lemon juice. It's just a much cleaner flavor, I feel like, and it just has that fresh taste. So I'm going to go ahead and squeeze the juice of 1 lemon, and then we will pour that over our apple mixture, as well as our salt, our sugar, our flour, cinnamon, nutmeg, and I'm also using a little bit of allspice to add just a little bit of depth to the flavors here. Now we can go ahead and toss our apples in all this flavorful goodness. So you want to just keep tossing these until all of the apples are really well coated with the sugars, the lemon juice, the spices. Just keep tossing and tossing and tossing. You really do want to make sure that every apple is evenly coated. After evenly tossing our apples and all those flavorful goodnesses, we're going to go ahead and transfer our apple slices from the mixing bowl to a baking dish. And then we will get to work on our dry ingredients. We're going to make the crumble for the top of our apples. So for the crumble, it is just some flour, some brown sugar, some quick oats, and softened butter. And as I'm incorporating all these ingredients with the butter, I just do a quarter of a stick or like a half of a stick at a time. We are using 2 sticks of butter here, and then I cut my butter in half and just add a half and a half and a half and a half at a time until the butter is really well incorporated into this mix. And you do want it to be very, very crumbly. I did get mine a little on the wetter side, but in the end, it still turned out delicious. So if you want, you could reduce the butter in this a little bit. Now I will go ahead and just place our crumble over the entire top of our apples. And I use every last drop of this crumble mixture because you really want to make sure that these apples are really well covered. It'll kind of make like a crust of sorts across the top of our apples. Now we will move on to making the caramel sauce for the top of our apple crisp. So I am just using some of these Kraft caramels, the individually wrapped ones, and I painstakingly sat and unwrapped every single one of them. And then we will add just enough evaporated milk to cover our caramels. You don't want to add too much evaporated milk because then your sauce will be too thin. So we will just cook this over a very low heat until all of our caramels have melted and incorporated in with the evaporated milk. I will say you want to stir this constantly. Don't walk away from it because the caramel does melt fast and you don't want to scorch it. Now that our sauce is ready, we can pour it over the top of our apple crisp. Oh gosh, this is just looking so good. I can hardly wait to taste this. Then we will go ahead and pop it in an oven at 350 degrees for about 12 to 15 minutes. It really is going to depend on how hot your oven gets or what type of oven you had. But you just want to keep an eye on it because we just want to get our caramel all bubbly, but we also want that crisp to get nice and crunchy. So here's what it looks fresh out of the oven, and I must say, this looks delectable and I cannot wait to try it. So we'll go ahead and top this with some ice cream and give it a little taste test.
Who doesn't love popcorn? In my family, popcorn is one of our favorite treats. It's our go-to treat for movie night or just anytime we feel like having a little snack. So today though, we're going to do a little fun, something extra to our popcorn. This is a fun recipe. I make this a lot during the holiday times. It's a special treat for my family. They really do enjoy this. So we're going to be whipping up some chocolate popcorn.
This is a really easy, fun recipe. All we will need is some popcorn, some chocolate, and some sprinkles. So to get started with this one, we are first going to pop some popcorn. And I like to make mine in the microwave, so I just take a regular brown paper lunch bag, some regular popcorn kernels, put them into this bag, and this is about 2 tablespoons of popcorn seeds, of popcorn kernels. Roll this bag down really tight because you don't want it to come undone in the microwave or you'll have a lot of popcorn all over the microwave. And then I just pop this in the microwave for 2 minutes. And just like that, I've got some nice, light, fluffy popcorn. So I'm going to go ahead and start melting our chocolate on the stovetop, and I'm just using some Ghirardelli chocolate chips to do this, and I'm going to do the double boiler system because I really don't want to risk scorching my chocolate here. So I just place my bowl over this pan of boiling water, and then I will just continue stirring the chocolate chips. I don't necessarily stir this constantly, but I do come in and stir frequently. And if your chocolate isn't melting very smooth and it's not real creamy the way we like it, go ahead and add just a teensy tiny bit of coconut oil to this, and it will give you that nice creamy chocolate goodness. So I'll go ahead and finish melting that, and then we will move on to our next step. Now that our chocolate has completely melted, we have a nice good chocolatey sauce here. I'm going to just dump this right over the top of our popcorn, and I am using every last drop of the chocolate here. We don't want any of this chocolate to go to waste. Once I have all the chocolate over the top of the popcorn, I'm just going to come in and start gently tossing this chocolate in with the popcorn to just get it all really well mixed and get all the popcorn kernels coated with the chocolate. You do want to do this very gently though, because if you get too aggressive, you'll just break up all of your popcorn kernels. Now that we have fully coated all of our popcorn kernels with the chocolate, I'm going to go ahead and pour it out over the top of this piece of parchment paper. And I don't want to spread this too thin, but I don't want it to be spread too thick either, because we just want a nice even layer of popcorn, so we get not great big huge chunks of just chocolatey popcorn, but sort of clumpy chunks, if you will. All right, so I'll go ahead and spread this out, and then I'm going to come in and just pour on a couple of sprinkles, or just dash some sprinkles across the top of this, any sprinkles of your choice. I'm just using this fun fall mixture to do this. And then we will just leave it at room temperature for a while to let this chocolate completely set up on our popcorn. Once our popcorn has completely set up, we can go ahead and put it all into a really pretty bowl. And just like that, we have a delicious chocolatey popcorn snack.
This next recipe is one that my family asks for a lot. It's a favorite treat around here. It's a fun football treat. This one is also really fun if you're entertaining and you want some really unique or just different, well, I don't know how unique it is. But anyway, it's a fun one for entertaining. So it goes great with all your snack foods and hors d'oeuvres. So for this one, we are going to be making some bacon wrapped pretzel sticks.
For this recipe, we will need some pretzel rods, some bacon, some brown sugar, and some spices of your choice. To get started with this recipe, I'm going to start with our brown sugar, and then I'm going to add in a spice blend. I like that sweet, spicy flavor, so I am using some smoked paprika, some cayenne, and some chili powder here. But if you don't like those hot spices, you could use like a mild taco blend here, or any other spice of your choice, or just leave the spice out altogether. So I will go ahead and incorporate our spice blend into the brown sugar, and then we will move on to dipping our bacon into the brown sugar. But before we do that, you do want to go ahead and prepare your baking pan. So I have a baking sheet here that I've lined with some parchment paper, and then atop that I've added in some wire racks here because this does drip. And so I really recommend protecting your pan with some parchment paper or aluminum foil, or you will have a really big mess on your hands. Okay, so let's go ahead and start dipping our bacon into the mixture. I just kind of coat the bacon real evenly on both sides, and then I wrap it around the pretzel rod in sort of like a diagonal wrap. Y'all, I really love this recipe. I mean, who doesn't love bacon after all? I mean, I know some of us don't, but if you were concerned and wanted something a little healthier, you could probably use turkey bacon here. I've never actually tried it, but I bet it would be equally as good. And I think this recipe is just a fun addition to your, if you're having a gathering and you're hosting a gathering, this makes a great addition to all your hors d'oeuvres. So I will go ahead and just continue wrapping these and placing them on my dish and getting them prepared for baking. now that we have all of our pretzel rods bacon wrapped, we can go ahead and pop these into a 400-degree oven for about 15 minutes. You do not want to underbake these because you want to make sure that your bacon is fully cooked. But if you overbake them, the pretzel rods will get really soft and they might break. So here's the important thing about this recipe is to make sure that you let these completely cool before serving.
Let's talk drinks. I don't think entertaining is complete without them, or any kind of holiday, dinner, or just any of the festivities. You could even just for fun. These drinks are a lot of fun. So I'm going to share with y'all a couple of my favorite hot and cold drink recipes. So let's go whip up some really delicious drinks.
I just feel like a pumpkin spice latte is iconic for the fall season. I don't think there is any way I could get through a fall season without having at least a dozen of these. So I'm going to go ahead and start out by scooping in my coffee, and I am using a pour over a coffee pot here, or the coffee method. I don't have an espresso maker, so this is the second best thing in my opinion. So I place my coffee into the filter, and then I'm going to put a pretty generous scoop of pumpkin spice mix over the top of this. And then using the perfect temperature water, you want your water to be at about 190 to 210 degrees. I'm going to pour it over this, let the coffee come to a full bloom, then let it rest, and then continue pouring over your water until you have a nice full pot of coffee. And then we will go ahead and pour it into our cup. And oh, if y'all could just smell this right now, the aroma is amazing. So to complete our latte, we are going to top this off with some milk and some froth. I do have a milk frother. If you don't have one, I highly recommend getting one, especially if you are a coffee latte lover. Then I will sprinkle on a little bit of cinnamon over the top of this, and this drink is ready to drink, and it's ready to be savored by our taste buds. Drink recipe is a really fun one, and I love that this one is so versatile because this has an adult beverage version of this and then the children's version of this. So we're just going to start with a good quality apple cider. I'm going to pour that over ice in a pitcher and then scoop on a really healthy half a teaspoon of cinnamon here, or pumpkin spice blend, whichever you prefer. Give that a little bit of a good mixing, and then we will go ahead and add some Prosecco to this to give it just a nice bubbly, just kind of a fun party sort of drink. And to open up my Prosecco, I am going to untwist the cap, and then I place a towel over my cork so that when I pop it, I don't risk that cork flying up into my ceiling and breaking any light fixtures. So I'm going to go ahead and uncork the Prosecco, and then we will pour that over our drink. I do use the entire bottle of Prosecco here, and It's pretty bubbly at first, but those bubbles will settle down. And so I'm going to go ahead and give this one more little mix to just incorporate our apple cider in with the Prosecco. And then to garnish this, I'm just going to top it off with some cinnamon sticks and some orange slices. And then this drink is ready to taste. And if you're like me, every drink tastes better when it's in a pretty glass. So I'm going to go ahead and pour this into a really pretty wine glass. And then I will also garnish my wine glass with another orange slice. This drink is so delicious. I hope y'all give this a try and that you enjoy it. Cheers! For the non-alcoholic version of this drink, we're basically going to start the same way with a good size serving of some apple cider over ice. And then we will just simply top this off with some ginger ale. I think the ginger ale adds that fun little, because ginger kind of has a spicy kick to it. So I think the ginger ale adds a fun spicy kick to the sweetness of our apple cider. And then we will garnish this off with some apple slices, some orange slices, and some cinnamon sticks. This one also deserves a really pretty glass. I just love having pretty glasses. It just makes drinking these beverages so much more fun and festive. So I will also top this with an orange slice. And y'all, we have some amazing drinks that you could serve at your next holiday gathering. This recipe is a very decadent dessert-like beverage. So we are going to need some chocolate, some white chocolate, some pumpkin puree, some vanilla bean paste, some whole milk or half and half, and some cinnamon, nutmeg, and allspice. So we will start by adding all of our ingredients to this saucepan. So I'm going to add in my pumpkin puree, add in my milk, my vanilla, maybe a tiny pinch of salt just to kind of enhance some of the flavors here, and our pumpkin spice, cinnamon spice, or allspice, whichever of those you prefer, or you could just do a blend of all. And then we will take this to the stove and gently start warming it up. We will, as it begins to warm, we will add in our chocolate and just stir, 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 and really whisk this very well together so that all of the flavors incorporate, but you also want to whisk this until your chocolate is completely melted. This is another one that you do not want to walk away from because you don't want your milk or chocolate to scorch in this drink. Now that we have warmed up all of our ingredients and they are well incorporated, we can go ahead and cup this drink. Y'all, this is so decadent. It's a very rich, delicious drink. So good. You could also add a little bit of Kahlua to this if you wanted a little extra kick. To top off our drink, I'm going to add some whipping cream because why not? And then we will garnish this with a couple of cinnamon sticks. And y'all, we have an amazing drink. This is so, so good and so decadent. I really can't say that enough. I love this recipe. And you could also serve this one at room temp if you didn't want to serve it warm.
This was so much fun. I really enjoyed hanging out with y'all today in the kitchen and sharing some of my favorite fall recipes with you all. I hope that y'all enjoyed this, and I hope that you'll give some of these recipes a try. Don't forget that I am going to have all the full written recipes linked for y'all in the description box. So go check those out, and if you enjoy them, let me know, and feel free to share these with your friends and family as well. Okay guys, that is going to wrap up for today. Thank you all so much for being here. It just means so much to me that y'all take time out of your day to come and hang with me. I will be taking next week off, but I will be back the following week, and then we will be kicking off our entire Christmas holiday season. So y'all come back and see me, not next week, but the week after. Until then, y'all take care, and I will see you soon. Bye. So we're going to try the bacon wrapped pretzels. We'll let Michael give it a try first.
It smells like good bacon. Yeah. Cheers, baby.
Cheers. So, from a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate this?
12.5. That's good.
What are we doing?
We're tasting cookies. You want me to start? Okay. Oh, so good. Shortbread cookie with some jam in the middle. See what I gotta work with, people?
Okay, I got this. Okay.
Oh yeah. Super good. So she says, she goes, how do you want to taste popcorn? I say, with my mouth.
I like it.
Can't beat chocolate and popcorn.
Chocolate and popcorn.
And then you throw some sprinkles on it.
It's the best of both worlds. It is a party in your mouth, right? So I've been looking very forward to trying our caramel apple crisp. So let's let Michael have the first bite and see what he thinks.
It looks good.
It does look good. Gotta get some caramel.
Little bites, please.
Ice cream.
And here was what we get.
I don't know if that was a little bite, but you know.
Wow. Oh man. That's really good. Super good.
Okay, I want to try it too. To get the fun crisp in there, some vanilla ice cream.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You can definitely taste the caramel, the apples, the crisp, the ice cream on top. So good.
Really good.
Yep, definitely.
All those fall feels for sure come out in this recipe.
Yep, super yummy.
Some fun outtakes on this one, aren't we?
Sure are. All right.
Okay.
Wow, that was a lot of tasty food for sure. Let's wash it down with some fun drinks. So amateurs.
I wasn't ready.
Okay, you ready?
Okay, I'm ready.
Cheers! Holy smokes, that's good. Wow.
Yeah, you like it?
Yeah, that's really good. Yummy. Let me try yours.
Okay.
That one's good, but I like mine better.
Bye, guys. See you next week.